The slogan of this carrier throughout the Apollo 11 cruise, the slogan has now been fulfilled. The Hornet has fulfilled its mission, and it has picked up 3 additional men. So it's Hornet plus 3. Now down there below the window, very shortly now, will be affixed the presidential seal in advance of President Nixon's arrival. Those 2 significant signs will, in essence, sum up this mission in its very briefest form. Hornet plus 3. Hornet has recovered the 3 astronauts back from the moon, and President Nixon, signaling the importance of this great moment in the history of manned space flight, will be coming down to congratulate the astronauts in person.
Dallas, the Hornet started out with 2,222 people on board, and now the 3 more.
Actually, it has a good many more than that at the moment, but some of them, in fact, all of the new arrivals will be leaving shortly.
And Mike, I want you to know that I think I'm the luckiest man in the world. And I say this not only because I have the honor to be President of the United States, but particularly because I have the privilege of speaking for so many and welcoming you back to Earth. I could tell you about all the messages we've received in Washington. Over 100 foreign governments, emperors and presidents and prime ministers and kings have sent the most warm messages that we've ever received. They represent over 2 billion people on this earth, all of them who have had the opportunity through television to see what you have done. And then I also bring you messages from members of the cabinet and members of the Senate and members of the House and the space agency. from the streets of San Francisco, where people stopped me a few days ago, and you all love that city, I know, as I do. But most important, I had a telephone call yesterday. The tour wasn't incidentally as great as the one I made to you fellas on the moon. I made that correct, incidentally, in case you didn't know. But I called in my view, three of the greatest ladies and most courageous ladies in the whole world today, your wives. And from Jan and Joan and Pat, I bring their love and their congratulations. We think it's just wonderful that they could have participated, at least through television, in this return. We're only sorry they couldn't be here. And also, I've got to let you in a little secret. I made a date with them. I invited them to dinner on the 13th of August, right after you come out of quarantine. It will be a state dinner held in Los Angeles. The governors of all the 50 states will be there, the ambassadors, others from around the world and in America. And they told me that you would come too. And all I want to know, will you come? We want to honor you then.
Well, do anything you say, Mr. President. Anytime.
One question I think that all of us would like to ask, as we saw you bouncing around in that boat out there, I wonder if that wasn't the hardest part of the journey. Was that the only, did any of you get seasick?
No, it didn't, and it was one of the harder parts, but it was one of the most pleasant, we can assure you.
Yeah. Well, I just know that you can sense what we all sense when you get back now. You've been able to follow some of the things that happened when you've gone. Did you know about the All-Star game?
Yes, sir. The Capitol communicators have been giving us daily news reports.
Yeah. Were you American League or National League?
I'm a National League man.
Non-partisan, sir. Yeah, that's right. There's the politician in the group, right.
Well, yeah, you missed that game.
Yeah. Well, you knew that too. You really heard the rain.
The rain. Right. Well, we haven't learned to control the weather yet, but that's something we can look forward to tomorrow.
Right. The rain.
The rain. Well, we haven't learned to control the weather yet, but that's something we can look forward to tomorrow.
Right. Well, I could summarize it because I don't want to hold you now. You have so much more to do, and gee, you look great. You feel as good as you feel great.
Yeah, that's perfect, Mr. President.
Yeah. I understand Frank Borman says you're a little younger by reason of having going into space. Is that right? Do you feel that way, a little younger?
Well, a lot younger than Frank Borman.
There he is over there. Come on over, Frank, so they can see you. And you going to take that line down, or they got...
It looks like he has aged in the last couple of weeks.
Come on, Frank.
Mr. President, the one thing I wanted, we have a poet in Mike Collins, and he really gave me a hard time for describing the words of fantastic and beautiful. And I counted them. In 3 minutes up there, you used 4 fantastics and 2 beautiful.
Well, just let me close off with this one thing. I was thinking, as you know, as you came down, and we knew it was a success, and it had only been 8 days, just a week, a long week. But this is the greatest week in the history of the world since the creation. Because as a result of what happened in this week, the world is bigger infinitely. And also, as I'm going to find on this trip around the world, and the Secretary Rogers will find that he covers the other countries in Asia. As a result of what you've done, the world's never been closer together before. And we just thank you for that. And I only hope that all of us in government, all of us in America, that as a result of what you've done, we can do our job a little better. We can reach for the stars just as you have reached so far from the stars. We don't want to hold you any longer. Anybody have a last word? How about promotions? Do you think we could arrange something?
We're just pleased to be back and very honored that you were so kind as to come out here and welcome us back. Yeah. And we look forward to getting out of this quarantine and talking without having glass between us.
All right. And incidentally, the speeches that you have to make at this dinner can be very short. And if you want to say fantastic or beautiful, that's all right with us. Don't try to think of any new adjectives. They've all been said. And now I think, incidentally, that all of us the millions that are seeing us on television now, seeing you, would feel as I do that, in a sense, our prayers have been answered. And I think it would be very appropriate if Chaplain Pierto, the chaplain of this ship, were to offer a prayer of thanksgiving.
This is the shuttle's fuel tank. It may only be 130 miles to space, but to cover that distance, the engines will use 500,000 gallons of fuel, and that works out at 2 feet to the gallon. Despite the cost, however, NASA does need to test these engines once in a while. So they built this place in the wetlands of Mississippi. The first thing they installed was a huge loudspeaker, through which they played white noise to simulate the sound of a rocket. They then sent a number of trucks in different directions out into the wilderness, and the drivers were ordered to stop when the noise levels became acceptable. This gave them an imaginary boundary line, and anyone living on the inside of it was offered a simple choice. Stay, and you'll never hear another television program as long as you live. Or take the NASA shilling and get out. No one stayed, and NASA ended up with exactly what it wanted. 125,000 acres of nothing. They even had to move 5 cemeteries, because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And, as it turns out, the cleanest. Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you! It's raining! That's unbelievable! Oh, NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.